In the past several lessons, we've learned how to add and subtract integers. We're going to use the adding integers to learn how to multiply integers. As you know, multiplication is the same as repeated addition. For example, 3 times 2 is the same thing as 2, or is the same thing as adding 2 3 times, right? So in other words, 2 plus 2 plus 2, adding 2 3 times is equal to 6. And you know that 3 times 2 is 6. Same thing goes with negative numbers. So if you have 3 times negative 2, that's the same thing as saying negative 2 plus negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 6. Because remember, if the signs are the same, then you add everything and give the answer the same sign, right? So you can also use a number line to find the product, all right? Because we know how to add on a number line, using a number line. Remember, we always start at 0, so 2 times negative 7, that means adding negative 7 plus negative 7, all right? So that would be starting at the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's that first negative 7, plus another negative 7. Negative means you go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we end up at negative 14. So 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Now that's all fine and good, except it gets pretty tedious pretty quickly if you have to use a number line every single time that you want to multiply or add numbers, right? So just same as what we had with addition, we have rules that we have come up with that we can follow. Those rules are that if the signs are the same, all right, if the signs are the same, your answer is going to be positive. If this so this means if the same, that means the same thing as a negative times a negative, or a positive times a positive, right? So if you have that, your answer is always going to be positive. If your signs are different, that would be a negative times a positive, or the other way around, a positive times a negative, then your answer is going to be negative. That's always the case, regardless of what the numbers are. If the signs are the same, you have a positive answer. If the signs are different, you have a negative answer. Pause the video and copy these two rules into your notes. All right. So now that you've copied that into your notes, we're gonna multiply here. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the same rules are also the same for division, because multiplication and division are inverse operations of each other. All right. So first of all, we know that this is a negative. We know this is also negative, so the signs are the same. So we have the same sign. Okay, that means the answer is going to be positive. All right. So we're going to end up with a positive, and 6 times 5 is 30. So it's a positive 30. Or we don't put that plus in there, we just write it as 30. All right. Here, negative 4 times 7, so that means this is a positive 7. So the signs are different. Okay. The different signs means the answer is going to be negative, regardless which number is bigger. All right, remember when we were talking about addition, when we were talking about addition, we gave it the sign of the largest number, but not in multiplication. We just know that signs are different. Answer is going to be a negative. Here the signs are different, so we know it's going to be a negative something, and 4 times 7 is 28. So the answer is a negative 28. All right, last problem on here. You have a negative 2 and a negative 8. The signs, once again, are the same, so the answer is going to be positive. All right, so it's a positive. 2 times 8 is 16. Remember, if there's not a sign in front of it, it's considered to be positive. All right, now we're talking about division. Dividing 35 divided by negative 5. So this is a positive 35. Okay, this is a negative 5. So the signs are different. Okay, signs are different. So the answer is going to be negative. All right, so a negative, and 35 divided by 5 is 7, because 7 times 5 is 35. Here, negative 32 divided by negative 8. All right, so the signs are the same. That means your answer is going to be positive. And 32 divided by 8, oops, it's not 8. 32 divided by 8 is 4, and it's a positive 4. And the last problem, negative 48 divided by a positive 6. Remember, if there's not a number there, it's considered to be a positive. All right, so the signs are different. Signs are different, so the answer is going to be negative. So it's a negative 48 divided by 6 is 8. So the answer is negative 8. All right. The one last thing that we need to touch on is that if you're dividing any number by 0, see, you know that 0 divided by any number is 0. All right. So say 0 divided by 18 is going to be 0. All right. So that's always going to be the case. But that's because you can take 0 of something and divide it up into however many groups you want to, and there's always going to be 0 things in each of those groups. All right. So here, if I take 0 digits or something and divide those into 18 different groups, so each of those 18 different groups is going to have 0 things in it. The other thing, only other thing is that you cannot divide anything by 0. So, in other words, I cannot say 18 divided into 0. The reason for that is that it is impossible to divide anything into 0 groups. The smallest group that you can divide something into is 1 group. You can put everything into 1 group. You can never divide it into 0 groups. So what we say there is that if you divide something by 0, we say that is undefined. All right. We can see that especially if we're writing a division problem as a fraction. In other words, we could say 0 divided by 18. We know that that's 0. But we can never say 18 and have a 0 in the denominator. So, because that's always going to be undefined. All right, so make sure you understand that and copy that into your notes also when you get a chance. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. Go ahead and ask me any questions if you've got questions on it, and we will talk to y'all later on.